In this video, let's try to change an IP on a router. In the previous video, we changed the description and we saw the basic difference on how to make basic template change. So let's say if we have to change an IP on a router and if we want to do it on template, we'll go into the configuration tab and select our template. And here in the interface, let's try again. Go into the configuration tab and I open my template. And here I could change the IP address on VNI 0 by 0 or 0 by 2, but the IP address slash prefix shows a different string. It's not an IP that we want to change. So how do we change that? Well, we are in the configuration template, and in the configuration template, if we click the sub interface, we can see that this IP address is parameterized because the green settings button is clicked. Whenever we click this green setting button on any field, it makes it parameterized or variable. It's possible that this device template is attached to a device group which has multiple devices, and we want to assign different values or different IPs to different devices, right? So that is why we make this field parameterized, and we can change these IPs, let's say, later when we push the template to individual devices. So in this case, on the LAN interface, we have made the VNI 0/2 IP parameterized. If we want to change the IP address on this interface VNI 0 by 2, we cannot change it from here. Actually we can, but we have to disable the parameterized field and put the IP address statically. In this case, if we put the IP statically and when we push this template to all the devices, then all the routers will have the same LAN IP, which is wrong. So that's why we made the IP address as parameterized. So what do we need to do in order to change the IP address? Well, we cannot change the IP address from template itself. We have to change the IP address in the workflow tab in the devices. So I click cancel here and I go to the workflow tab in the Versa director. Then I go to devices, and on the devices I have my devices. Let's say I click on branch 1, and once it's open, the fourth tab is bind data. So when I open this bind data, I can modify the IP address. So let's say in this case I'm modifying the IP address of VNI 0/2 interface to 99.99.99.1 from 10.82.82.1. So once I have made this change in the bind data, this new change is still not pushed to the device. For that, I have to commit the template. So I select the organization and I select my template, and now I have to push the config only to the device that I want, that it's intended for. So I change the bind data only for branch 1 router, so I will commit the template only for branch 1 router. If I don't select the router from here and I click directly on OK, then it will push the template on all the devices. So that's why I have to be selective, and I have to select only the router that I want to push the config in, click on the differences, and then see the difference, what actually this template is pushing to the device. So this will show me the difference that this router is pushing. Once again. So if I select branch 1 and click on differences, and now it will show me the differences or what config change it's pushing to the device. So here we can see that on the interface it's changing the IP address from 10.82.82.1 to 99.99.1. So it is on me to verify that this config change is correct and I'm okay with the new IP address being pushed. If there are multiple changes, then I showed earlier how you can revert chunk for a segment of the configuration. Now I am okay with the change and I want to change, so I click on commit to device, and once I click on commit to device, this change will take effect. So I go to the router, and if I do show configuration interface VNI 0/2, I can see that the LAN interface IP address has been changed.